In the early hours of a cold Manchester morning, a man named Simon thought he had committed the perfect crime. No witnesses, no fingerprints, and a GPS alibi that placed him 5 miles away. For 2 years, the case of the Dutton Street murder remained a stain on the Greater London police files. But Simon didn't realize that his own house was a witness. He didn't know that every time he turned on a tap, he was signing his own death warrant. The victim was 24-year-old Sarah Albright. She wasn't just a case file. She was a daughter who called her mom every Sunday, a beloved Year 4 teacher whose classroom was adorned with her students' bright drawings. Her life was ended in a 14-minute window of pure, calculated evil, a brutal act that left a community shattered and a police force baffled. Her empty house, now a crime scene, echoed with the silence of unanswered questions. The initial investigation was a textbook nightmare. Every lead turned into a dead end. Blood spatter analysis, fiber evidence, even advanced DNA techniques yielded nothing that could definitively link a suspect. DCI Harrison, a veteran detective known for his bulldog tenacity, felt the frustration deep in his bones. He knew Simon Thorne, a disgruntled former colleague of Sarah's, was the prime suspect. Simon had a history of aggression, dismissed from Sarah's school months prior after a heated argument. But knowing and proving were two different beasts. The police had Simon Thorne in their sights. They brought him in for questioning, his smug demeanor a thinly veiled challenge. They had motive, opportunity, and a mountain of circumstantial evidence. But when the comprehensive forensics report landed on Harrison's desk, it delivered a crushing blow. It didn't just fail to implicate Simon. It delivered an alibi so robust, so undeniable, that it seemed to prove Simon Thorne was innocent. Or did it? We dive deep into the modern surveillance state of the UK. In Manchester, a city often blanketed in a fine drizzle, you were caught on CCTV an average of 70 times a day. Simon Thorne's defense rested entirely on this ubiquitous digital web. His silver Ford Focus, easily identifiable, was meticulously tracked. The critical timestamp was 10:15 p.m. At that exact moment, just as the neighbors on Dutton Street reported hearing a chilling scream, Simon Thorne's car was definitively captured on a petrol station forecourt camera, 5 miles away from Sarah's house. The timestamp was irrefutable. The angle, the car model, even Simon's distinctive jacket, all matched. The British Murders archives have seen similar alibis, but few so utterly comprehensive. It was the perfect digital ghost, creating a presence where he needed to be and an absence where he couldn't afford to be. With such undeniable proof, the prosecution's case against Simon crumbled. He was released, a free man. The media attention faded, but the underlying tension in Manchester remained. A killer walked free. DCI Harrison was devastated, his intuition screaming defiance against the digital evidence. The case was officially classified as cold, another unsolved mystery destined to gather dust in the annals of British true crime. But then, a quiet anomaly surfaced. A digital forensic investigator, poring over thousands of seemingly irrelevant data logs, noticed something noisy, something profoundly out of place in the mundane digital footprint of the victim's quiet suburban home. The anomaly was subtle, almost imperceptible amidst the deluge of daily data. At 10:12 p.m., just 3 minutes before Simon appeared on the petrol station camera, 5 miles away, establishing his alibi, the victim's house did something impossible. Something no empty house should ever do. It consumed a massive amount of municipal water. This is where we hit the heart of Forensics Catching the Killer UK. We introduce the unsung hero of this investigation, the smart water meter, utilizing advanced metering infrastructure, AMI, technology. In modern UK homes, particularly in Manchester, these aren't just for billing. They are vigilant, minute-by-minute chroniclers of water consumption, silently documenting the rhythms of domestic life. Every flush, every shower, every kettle boiled, all logged, time-stamped, and transmitted wirelessly. The forensic team's deep dive into Sarah's property's AMI data revealed the impossible. At precisely 10:30 p.m., the meter registered a dramatic and sustained surge in water usage. Not a small leak, not a dripping tap. This was a torrent. Over the course of 15 minutes, 140 gallons of water flowed through Sarah's pipes. To put that in perspective, that's equivalent to running a constant power shower for a quarter of an hour or flushing a toilet more than 100 times. Why would an empty house, its occupant tragically murdered, suddenly consume 140 gallons of water? DCI Harrison's eyes, previously clouded with frustration, suddenly gleamed with grim realization. "Cleaning," he whispered. He was cleaning the crime scene. The killer, in a desperate attempt to erase all traces of his presence, blood, fibers, DNA, had used Sarah's own water supply against her. He had systematically hosed down the area, perhaps even taking a frantic shower himself, believing he was washing away his sins. But the smart meter tracked not just the volume, but the duration of the flow. It unequivocally proved the killer stayed inside that house, actively engaged in cleanup, until at least 10:45 p.m. The water meter data provided irrefutable proof that the killer was in Sarah's house until 10:45 p.m. But this created a new, terrifying paradox. If the killer was still inside Dutton Street at 10:45 p.m., then who was the man on the petrol station CCTV, 5 miles away, at 10:15 p.m.? The very evidence that had exonerated Simon Thorne now created an impossible timeline. Was there another killer? Or was Simon Thorne even more devious than they had imagined? The answer lay not in a single piece of evidence, but in the intricate web of multiple digital footprints, a silent symphony of data that would expose a deception so elaborate it nearly fooled the entire British justice system. DCI Harrison realized they were not just looking for a killer, they were unmasking a digital ghost. The truth was chillingly simple, yet incredibly audacious. Simon Thorne hadn't acted alone. He had engineered a sophisticated digital proxy alibi. He coerced his younger, impressionable brother, Liam, into driving his silver Ford Focus with Simon's mobile phone deliberately left inside, to the petrol station. Liam, unaware of the horrific crime Simon had committed, believed he was simply helping his brother run an innocent errand. The real breakthrough came not from the car, but from Simon's seemingly mundane smart home. Every modern device, from a thermostat to a light bulb, constantly performs a handshake, a digital greeting, with specific authorized devices like smartwatches or phones. Simon, meticulous in his planning, wore his Apple Watch everywhere. The forensic team subpoenaed the data from Simon's home security system, specifically the smart light bulb in his master bedroom. Its logs showed a precise handshake with Simon's Apple Watch at 10:32 p.m. This was the exact minute the smart water meter registered maximum flow at Sarah's house. The timelines now converged into an undeniable truth. At 10:15 p.m., Liam was at the petrol station. But at 10:32 p.m., Simon's Apple Watch was undeniably shaking hands with his bedroom light bulb while he was still cleaning the crime scene. The petrol station alibi was nothing more than a carefully constructed decoy. The water meter and the smart light bulb, two seemingly innocuous pieces of household technology, had teamed up to expose a meticulously planned deception. We cut to the re-interview room. Simon Thorne, still radiating that icy composure, sat opposite DCI Harrison. He maintained his innocence, dismissing the CCTV as irrefutable. But then, Harrison slowly, deliberately, slid the water meter printout across the table. His voice was low, laced with cold satisfaction. "Simon," he said, "why were you taking a power shower in a dead woman's house at 10:32 p.m.? Simon's face, for the first time, crumpled. The smug mask shattered, revealing pure, unadulterated fear. The truth had come out. But Simon Thorne was not the kind of man to go down without a fight. He still had one desperate card to play, one last attempt to escape the digital gallows. Simon, trapped by the irrefutable data, attempted a last-ditch defense, blaming his brother Liam. He claimed Liam, an unwitting accomplice, was the true killer. But the forensic team, now armed with the power of cross-device metadata analysis, quickly dismantled this lie. Liam's phone and smart devices showed no activity at Sarah's house, and his own smart meter confirmed he was at home that night. Simon's desperate plea only solidified his guilt. The trial was swift and decisive. The prosecution presented the smart water meter data, the smart light bulb logs, and the compelling narrative of the digital proxy. This case marked a landmark in UK law, as it was one of the first times that non-traditional IoT, Internet of Things, device data, specifically from a domestic utility meter, was used to secure a conviction in a murder trial. Simon Thorne, the man who thought he could outsmart the system, received a life sentence. Justice, though delayed, was delivered with chilling precision. The case of Sarah Albright became a pivotal study for Scotland Yard, showcasing the silent power of everyday technology. It proved that in the digital age, no crime is truly hidden, and every action leaves an indelible mark. The British Murders documentary archives now hold a new chapter, a testament to the fact that even in the foggiest corners of Manchester, the truth will always find a way to flow. Simon Thorne thought the fog of Manchester would hide his tracks. He didn't know the future of forensics had already moved into his home. If you believe that justice should always find a way, no matter how clever the killer, hit that subscribe button. We are on a mission to document every digital ghost in the UK justice system, delivering the forensic evidence that caught the killer. If you have a case you want us to audit, or a British Murders documentary you want to see, comment, investigate below. For Sarah, justice took 2 years. For you, it takes 1 click. Don't let the truth stay hidden.